initially I was like, how come, why are they saying this, Yeah. Then later I realized why. I've encountered students who go for this retreat or that retreat, and the best thing is, during the retreat is multi-days, yeah, so maybe a week or 5 days, and during the retreat they encounter some situation, but somehow they don't inform the instructor. Then they come and inform me. They come back to Singapore, then they tell their friend refer to me. So I first tell them, I reminded them that in future the first person they should inform is the instructor. And that's why it's important that when you are in the retreat, you use the technique we share with you. Yeah, because there's 101 technique out there which may have its own corresponding side effect. Yeah, which we cannot possibly know all the side effects. And the worst thing is, if there are some unintended side effect, then we end up having to go and solve that problem. But of course, if you do encounter some friends who encounter such a situation, I'd be happy to help as well. Yeah. But as far as the ball floating up and floating down, I don't recommend that. I don't think although he used the word 止观, the term 止观 can be found inside the sutra. Yeah, it relates to vipassana, samatha, and vipassana. And in the Chinese Mahayana tradition, most notably 天台止观. Yeah, in Chinese tradition, there is 如来禅 and 祖师禅. So most of the Chinese Zen school, they practice 祖师禅 and not 如来禅. 如来禅 means the meditative practices that is directly traceable back to the Buddha's teaching. Hence 如来禅. Yeah, 如来 is Tathagata. That means the meditative practices from the Tathagata. So 祖师禅 means the meditative practices taught by our grandmasters. So that will include the two notable branches, Mo Zhao and Hua Tou. Yeah. So 天台止观, it is at the early stage, yeah, of Chinese history, Chinese Buddhism history, and the 止观 itself can still be traced back to the sutras. Yeah. So in like 小止观, 通门止观, then they teach 六妙门, 属随止观还境. So the first three is 止, 先修止, 后修观. Yeah. So the A, B, C, D, the C and, is it 4? So you have A, B, C, D. C and D, so far I haven't encountered it in whether it's a sutra or commentary. So I will not comment on that. But I don't want to simply dismiss it. But if you can find which sutra it's from or commentary, I'll be happy to comment on it. A is basically anapanasati, yeah, 数息观, or more correctly, 安波念. Yeah, so breathing meditation, the most fundamental is what we have done, just observing the breath. Then from observing the breath, there was some further development where different masters gave variations of this core technique. So from observing the breath, then they say go and note it, label it, then to even count it, and count it in various ways. Yeah, all the counting and all the different techniques came as a result of meditators not being able to do the simple step of observing the breath. So if you can observe the breath and then immediately become calm and quiet, you don't have to count. Yeah, you don't have to do that actually. Yeah, so counting is a precursor step to observing the breath. Yeah. And then you have focusing on certain spot on the body, top of the head, forehead, and so on. So the third one, front of the nose, this is actually a form of the mindfulness of the breath. Yeah. Then we have head, forehead, stomach, sole of the foot. So some of the different parts actually have different effects. Yeah. Under this the school I mentioned just now, they did mention about observing different parts of the body. Yeah. In some Myanmar tradition, they also do this exercise of observing different parts of the body. Yeah. Like let's say Swiumin tradition. Yeah. Sayadaw Swiumin. So this can be part of what we call the mindfulness of the body. Yeah, mindfulness of the body. Now the question is, how do we use the different techniques? Can we use them in combination? So as I mentioned, some of I will only comment on the first two, and there's some overlap here because when you observe the front of the nose, it is a form of mindfulness of the breath, yeah, breathing meditation. So, in fact, in some of the classes, I actually employ the combination of the two. Yeah, but typically, if you are able to, then you just observe the breath and stabilize your mind with it. Yeah. So the next part is about how if you sit for a while, then you may find your breath becoming more and more subtle and becoming quieter and quieter. And at some point, oh, it's so clear. Okay. And then at some point, you may find that the breath is almost like not there or there. Yeah. I think that's what you're trying to say, right? So you don't really have to worry about it. Yeah. The breath is definitely there. If it's not there, you are dead. So what's happening is that the breath may become very subtle, so it's not so perceptible. Not so perceptible. So sometimes unconsciously we may when we are not meditating, it's a very natural thing to breathe. And if we were to stop ourselves from breathing, we will feel uncomfortable. Yeah, so normally that's the case. But as you meditate, then the urge to breathe becomes lesser. Yeah, so breathe out, then breathe in, and your breath may become thinner and shallower, or deeper in some ways, but not so vigorous. Not like yeah, but it may become so subtle that sometimes we have this. Yeah. So instead of worrying about, oh, am I breathing? Don't worry. When your body is out of breath, you will breathe. Okay. So instead of letting your mind start worrying about it, yeah, just focus on the breath. So I feel tingling at the top of my head as I watch my breathing. Should I first shift my focus? So as we sit, whether it's tingling sensation or pain or aches and so on, you can go and observe it for a while. Yeah. But when we observe any phenomena, we must take note. Usually if you have random thoughts, thinking about your work thinking about your friend thinking about the movie you watched conversation you had, that is very obvious in terms of stray thoughts. You can tell easily that that is some wandering thoughts. But when you are meditating and then you go and watch the tingling sensation, sometimes we have question mark appearing. We start to wonder, oh, what is this? Oh, how come now there's tingling sensation? Hey, my body is so subtle now. Oh, it's very calm. Wow, this is so peaceful. Now, all these statements are also wandering thoughts. All these questions and statements are also wandering thoughts. Most of the time when we talk about wandering thoughts, we think that it is only when it's related to worldly things lah, then that is wandering thoughts. Even when we sit and we start to have, let's say, different experiences or sensation, and we start to have internal commentary. Wow, this is interesting. Wow, what's happening? All these are wandering thoughts. So in the Chinese Zen tradition, we have this saying, 见魔看魔, 见佛看佛. Yeah. So these are really extreme. And so on one end you have mo, yeah, Mara. On the other end you have Fo, Buddha. So what is it trying to say? If even the extreme good and extreme bad, you should discard them. Then what more of anything in between? In other words, anything that arises, you should get rid of it. Oh? Yeah. So when you have whatever sensation, whether it's tingling or warm sensation or movement or anything, take note of it and then come back to the breath. Oh? Sometimes as we sit, we may find the whole body very comfortable and at ease, and the breath is very subtle. Yeah, you don't have to count the breath. You don't have to explicitly watch the breath also. Yeah, just stay as you are. Yeah, just be aware of the overall state. But the moment any thought arises, then come back to the breath. Oh, okay. I think it's past 1. Anybody just came in for SGC? I don't think so. Yeah, I think we have made it quite secretive, so nobody come. Meaning? Yes. So maybe we. How many of you have attended SGC before? How many of you have not attended SGC before? Never attended before. Okay, so let's all rise. Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，般若波罗蜜多心经，观自在菩萨行深般若波罗蜜多时，照见五蕴皆空，度一切苦厄。舍利子，色不异空，空不异色。色即是空，空即是色，受想行识，亦复如是。舍利子，是诸法空相，不生不灭，不垢不净，不增不减。是故空中无色，无受想行识，无眼耳鼻舌身意，无色声香味触法，无眼界乃至无意识界，无无明亦无无明尽，乃至无老死亦无老死尽，无苦集灭道，无智亦无得。 一无所得故菩提萨埵，一般若波罗蜜多故，心无挂碍，无挂碍故，无有恐怖远离颠倒梦想，究竟涅槃三世诸佛，一般若波罗蜜多故，得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提，故知般若波罗蜜多，是大神咒，是大明咒，是无上咒，是无等等咒，能除一切苦，真实不虚。故说般若波罗蜜多咒，即说咒言地波罗揭谛波罗僧揭谛菩提萨婆。Okay, put on our palms. Okay, so usually for SGC, we will start off with the Pali chanting, and then, which is what we did in the morning and just now. Then we'll have one part which is the 5 precepts, Panchasila, but we didn't recite today because you are observing the 8 precepts. Yeah, so you all got upgraded. Then after that, we recite the Heart Sutra, then followed by meditation. But today we're going to have a few more rounds of meditation, so we're going to go straight into the class itself. So I would usually, after the meditation, say, "Good afternoon, brothers and sisters." Yeah. Then I'll ask you all, how are you all today? But I've already asked you all in the morning. Yeah, so today will be quite a lot of people. Those who are new, those who are... Okay, so I think a good number of you have not attended SGC before. Raise your hand, all of you who have not attended SGC before. Oh, so okay, all of you have to introduce. So no time to tell me all your story, okay? Just tell us your name and where you're from. Like, yeah, or tell us instead how you got to know about the retreat. Yes, your name and how you got to know about the retreat. Ah, okay, I see. Okay, welcome. Sure, friend. Is your friend here? Oh, your friend is here. Where is your friend? Who is your friend? Where? Huh? Who? Oh, okay. Hello, friend. Okay, later you can introduce. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Okay. Welcome. Who's your aunt? Hello. How old are you? Sorry, how old are you? 18 years old. Is there anyone who is younger? Beside, Doreen younger. Anybody else younger? I know, okay. We have 2 young person here. Welcome, welcome. How about you? From your sister. And how old are you? 24. You look like quite young also. Oh, hello, friend. Okay, welcome. Let's see where this ends. Yes, hello, husband. Ah, okay, okay, I see. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, they are from NTU Buddhist Society here. Okay, good, good. Welcome. Who else on this row? Or you have come before? Let me see. Let's just go row by row. Okay, all. Okay, the 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 season parking one. Okay. Anybody else? The next row after Jacob. Introduced before? Introduced before, right? Introduced before? Some of you like try to put on a yes, yes, no. Introduced before? Have you introduced before? You lah, look in front of Angela. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Yes, you. Introduced before. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, who have not introduced before? Okay, like. Ah. Oh, okay. Wow. So, okay. So, okay. Okay, like. Where's your sister? Ah, hello, hello. Welcome. Okay, season barking, season barking. Hello, uncle. Yes. Yeah. 哦，那你听得懂英语吗？还会啊？不会，不会你就问你太太。没有开玩笑哈。刚才也有一个居士问师傅说，这个他有他的兄弟啊，就是比较熟悉这个华语，那就请问师傅说有没有那个用华语授课的呀？那之前呢，之前师傅开那个静坐班或者佛学班呢，都有中英文。那今年目前还没开。可能下一次的那个禅修班，师傅会用华语，好不好？好，不客气。阿弥陀佛。I see. Okay, welcome, welcome. Through the email lah. Oh, is it the from the blog? Is it? Not sure. How? I don't. But you got an email about it, is it? Oh, okay, okay. I think it's my blog. Probably my blog. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have to find out, ma. Then suddenly someone signed up for me. Okay. Good, good. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Season barking. Next. Okay. I see, I see. Welcome nonetheless. So probably from WhatsApp. Okay. Yes. Okay, okay. Welcome. Yeah. Yeah, so for those who are uninitiated, my blog is buddhavachana.net. 广告时间。Okay, next. Hello. Huh? Which friend? Sita. Who is Sita? Okay, welcome, welcome. Okay. Oh, okay, I see. Welcome, welcome. Okay, season parking. Come before, come season parking for two of you. Phyllis, right? Phyllis and Daniel. Yes, Phyllis and Daniel. Yes. And yes. Hello. Welcome, Sue. Hello, good friend. Yes. Oh, Facebook. Okay, good. Okay. So the Facebook is quite an effective way to. Okay. Like, hello. Yes, you. Yeah. Tell us your name. Hello. Hi. From your cuckoo. Welcome, welcome. It's very nice to see how you all got to know the retreat. Yeah, from a friend, from a relative, from a family, or from the Facebook. Good, good. Who is next? Okay. Season parking. Yes. Is what? What is your name? What's your name? Rachel. Okay. I see. Okay. Welcome. So, talking about the SGC chat group, so there's this weekly group cultivation, and we maintain a chat group, and so those who have signed up today, we will put your phone number into the chat group. You have 24 hours to inform us not to put it in, otherwise we'll put it in, and if you delete yourself, we'll put it back in. Haste away. No, just kidding, just kidding. Yeah. We use the chat group mainly to inform of programs. We do not sell or disseminate to third parties. Yeah. But we have a very interesting rule: no posting or chatting after 11 p.m. Yeah. And no posting before 6. Is it 6 a.m.? 7 a.m. Yeah. Because previously we have very excitable participants. Wow, discuss Dharma until 11 o'clock, until 12 o'clock, until 1 o'clock. Wow. Then the rest all get stressed. Okay, so who is next? Who else is here for the first time? Raise your hand. Actually, a good number of you behind. Okay, then who is next? Ah. Ah. Oh. Oh, I see, I see. Welcome, welcome. Okay, welcome. Ah. Oh, you got a young auntie, Facebook also. Okay. Welcome, welcome. From your friend? Okay. Hello, friend. I see. Okay, and then you brought them. Okay. Did I miss somebody there? Did I miss anyone? No, I didn't miss anyone. Okay. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Elizabeth. Which friend? Jacob. Welcome, welcome. Okay, who else? Who else? Going down the line. Line. Okay, line. Oh, welcome, welcome. Okay, who else? After the white hair. Okay, right? Hello, welcome. Hello, friend. Welcome, welcome. Ivy, okay. Eh, what is your name again? Sulon. Okay, welcome. Next, who is next? Anybody? Yes. Okay, welcome. Anybody else behind? I think. Yes. Ah. I see. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Hello, welcome. Yes, I remember you. Okay. Welcome. Okay. And then we have Rick, we have Sishan there. Okay, so the very last row. Come. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Ji Hyung. 你大小啊？哦，很好。大小你好。Afternoon. Guangming-san? Really? Ah. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I see. Oh. Amitofo. Amitofo. Okay. Well, very likely, in all likelihood, it's probably from the I set up this MailChimp account for people to sign up for notification. Yeah. In all likelihood, it's probably from that. Because it's all from MailChimp. Guangming-san also uses MailChimp. The team that was doing the emailer was reporting to me. So maybe the format looks similar. Yeah. But if it was from them, all the better. Yeah. Welcome to SGC and also the urban retreat. So the reason why we call it urban retreat is because for the longest time, we hear about people going overseas, going to some countryside, some ulu place for retreat. Yeah, so it has always struck me, why not in urban Singapore? Yeah, sure, I think it's a good experience to go overseas to be away. Yeah, but the real retreat is not simply to be away physically, but mentally, to not uh, to not go after the things that we crave. Yeah. So instead of physically divorcing ourselves from Singapore, how about doing it mentally? Yeah. So how about doing a retreat in urban Singapore? Yeah. So I coined in the term urban retreat years back when I was in Buddhist library. Yeah. And then it got started from there. Yeah. So SGC itself is a weekly program, especially targeted towards the English-speaking community. Yeah, because in Singapore, besides Buddhist Fellowship, besides the Lions Roar, organized by SBF, there's scarcely any regular programs for English-speaking communities. I know that the Tibetan tradition is quite lively. We have ABC, we have a few like other Tibetan centers, and of course we also have the Theravadan centers, which are mainly English-speaking. But for Chinese Mahayana lineage, there's almost none. Yeah, that is in English. Yeah, so in Chinese we call it 共修. Yeah, 共同的共，修行的修. So group cultivation or group practice. But if you were to attend a typical group cultivation, then it's usually 1.5 hours to 2 hours of chanting. And then sometimes if it's in the morning, then followed by lunch, and then bye. Yeah. So the purpose of the group cultivation is so that we are not divorced from the traditional practice, but we get to have a bit more of the teachings. Yeah. So you notice that the chanting is very short. There are some students who ask me like, Shifu, can we make it shorter? I'm like, huh? Yeah. The Pali chanting consists of Vandana, yeah, the homage, yeah, or Vedana. Then we have Tisarana, the refuge, and usually followed by Panchasila, which is the 5 precepts. Then we have Heart Sutra. Yeah, so the Heart Sutra is there so that we don't get disconnected from the Chinese lineage, but it's not so heavy that it goes over your head. Yeah. Then we usually have a short meditation, but today we're going to meditate for the rest of the day. So we're jumping straight into the Dharma sharing. We have a couple of questions more, so I'm going to go through some of them. But let me just switch the projector over. So for the weekly program, we usually have a certain series, and at the moment we are actually covering the perfections, yeah, the 6 perfections, 6波罗蜜. And on the first week of every month, we try to cover the Bodhisattva vows. Yeah, we have covered the first 5, 布施、持戒、忍辱、精进、禅定. Yeah, so we are on the number 6, which is Pura, yeah, on wisdom, on wisdom. So, yeah, is it clear on the screen? But now you cannot see me. Can you all see me? Can imagine me. Okay, so we have a few questions here. If you have questions, just ask for this paper slip, and you can write down your questions also. So, is it normal to feel tension around your forehead? What should we do? Be aware of it, then bring the mind back to breathing. How does one know whether there is progress in one's meditation practice? Yeah, so practice must be see, huh? Yeah. Yeah, practice with an S is a verb. Yeah, the good thing about attending my class is you get free English, chemistry and physics also. Yeah, so How many of you, when you meditate, whether today or other days, do you feel some tightness here? Anybody? There should at least be one person who wrote this question. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of you. The rest okay? No tension. Yeah. So when you meditate, and if you don't feel any tension, you're either doing it right or you're yeah, usually if you feel a bit of tension, it usually indicates that you're applying a little bit too much effort. Yeah. What it also means is that you're putting in effort. Yeah. But maybe just a tad too much. Huh? A tad too much. That's number one. Number two is the position of your focus. Yeah. If your position is on your nose, then it's likely to trigger this this experience. Yeah. So for the most part, if it's a mild tension or just a mild sensation, it is still okay. But if you are using your nose tip and this is a recurrence, then you may want to do some adjustment. Yeah, because if you were to, if you're not diligent, it's okay. If you're diligent, then you need to do some adjustment. Otherwise, you may experience what we call 口干舌燥. Yeah, then as you develop, then you may even experience ringing in the ear. Yeah, and all these are signs of, in Chinese we call it 上火. Yeah, yeah, it's a form of 上火. Not, you may not get pimple or what, but it's a form of 上火, where your attention is too vigorous. Yeah, too vigorous. So this is not about qigong or anything, but this is a side effect that happens. So in my lineage, the way we deal with that is lower the focal point, yeah, lower to your abdomen, yeah, or regulate your intensity. So for those who actually experience it, you may want to check your focus itself. Yeah, don't apply too vigorous effort. Yeah, in some cases, you can also regulate with walking. Yeah, so over here, we let you sit about half an hour to 45 minutes, and then we do walking. Yeah, when you're doing walking, make sure that you keep your thinking in check. Yeah, this can also be because of like sometimes unconsciously we are thinking. Yeah, if you are thinking unconsciously, then it can actually cause this to occur also. Okay. So that's that for that question. Next, on lying within 5 precepts. There's the case where I have to lie, keep quiet at workplace, or else there will be, well, the handwriting is very interesting, or else there will be dire consequences. Well, when I see this handwriting, then I feel like I must speak in a very proper way. Then there is the case where there's an implicit assumption that we will be lying, but protocol requires us to lie. Then there's a case where there is an implicit assumption that we will be lying, but protocol requires us to lie. How should I avoid lying in these circumstances? Okay, good question. Lying at work. I was going to ask you all, how many of you have to lie at work? Then I realized it's a bit, especially when you have a video camera around. So what do you all think? How many of you feel compelled to lie at work? Don't turn the video. Don't turn the video. Do you all feel comfortable to just raise your hand? Why don't we do this? All of you close your eyes. So also only Shifu know, okay? Close your eyes. Now all of you close your eyes for 10 seconds. Close. Okay. Now close. Okay, let me check. Everybody close, okay? Close. Okay. Now those who feel that you are compelled to lie at work, raise your hand. Okay, put down. Okay, hey, don't turn around and look. Okay, open your eyes. So, based on my rough estimation, just a handful. Yeah, so around 10% or less. Yeah, that's a very small number. I mean, and in this group that is close to 100, that's a good estimation. Yeah, so it's lower than what we expect, you know. Yeah, sometimes we may think that, no lah, everybody have to lie. But, you know, only 10% of you, and I think it's probably lesser. Yeah, it's less than 10% who raise your hand. Yeah. So the question is, are you required to lie? Perhaps the bigger question is, if you don't lie, what will happen? Will you get fired? Can the company officially fire you because you didn't lie? How many of you feel that if you don't lie about it, about certain things, then the customer will not go with your company? Let me repeat my question. How many of you feel that at work, if you are dealing with customers or clients, that if you tell the truth, your customers will not choose your company's products or services? Huh? Only one person. Do you all understand what I'm saying? Or have I touched a nerve here? Like, Shifu, don't ask us this kind of question. Yeah, all of us are faced with this predicament. No, but honestly, do you all feel that way? Or how many of you actually do have to deal with customers? Raise your hand. Okay, and how many of you don't feel that way? That if you deal with customers, you feel that you are able to just tell them as it is without lying, and you feel confident that they will still choose your company's product anyway. Also, just a handful. Then the rest, so you must choose. This is not watching a movie. Just sit back and then watch. Yeah. One thing about SGC, you need to, interact and give answers. Yeah. It's easy for me to just tell you, well, Musawada Viramani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Yeah. I undertake the training rule or the precept to abstain from lying. That's it. Yeah. But I want to engage you all to think about, first of all, why not lie? Secondly, what if you don't lie? What will happen? Yeah. I mean, if now someone come to you with a knife, like let's say Zhuoping, you are in NUS, and then you see this guy you're at the bus stop, someone get off the bus, and then whips out a knife and asks you, are you Zhuoping? What must you say? Okay. Okay, let's say Shifu is in NUS with you. Shifu is in NUS giving a talk. And then after the talk, Shifu was still answering some questions and you left first. And then you see someone coming up to you and then ask you, hey, and with a knife, is there a talk today? Then he said, yeah, there's a talk, but it's over. Oh, and is Venerable Chuan Guan still there? And let's say out of curiosity, you ask him like, what are you doing with a knife and what do you want to do? And then somehow the person honestly tell you, I'm going to go and kill him. So he asks you again, Chuan Guan still there? So Now Chuan is in a predicament. Should I tell the truth or should I lie? Musawada, Veeraman. So what do you all think? Since Chuan cannot decide, how many of you would tell the truth and tell the person to be potential assailant? Would you tell the person, oh, Venerable Chuan Guan, you mean the one quite tall, then, wears specs, quite humorous also. You trying to kill him? Yeah, he's inside. How many of you would do that? Don't raise your hand. See me after this. You don't need the 5 precepts, you need counseling. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, we don't encounter this on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So at work, it may not be so clear-cut. Yeah, it's not so clear-cut that if you say the truth, then or maybe you will get a lower bonus. Yeah, what do you think will happen? Will you get fired? So I don't know who wrote this, and I don't know whether the person is comfortable enough to share on the dire consequences. If you are, you have 5 seconds to reply. If not, you can hold your peace. You're not lying by keeping quiet here. No? 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, I think many times we may have certain assumptions that if we don't do certain things, be it lying or doing certain things in a certain way, that there will be certain consequences. Yeah. Including lying or not to speak. So, well, I think for me it is quite clear cut. In the past, when I was working as in consulting, we deal with clients, and sometimes consultants are seen as very fluffy. Like they'll come and then they'll talk and confuse everybody, confuse, and then until everybody okay, sounds good. Okay, let's just But in my line of work last time, I rarely had to lie. In fact, sometimes when I deal with certain clients and they ask us to go in to present a certain strategy or approach, and as we do some fact-finding before we do the presentation, we may find that they don't need our company's product, because ours is usually aimed for the enterprise level products. The SME products, we usually get our partners to go and front it. So sometimes we even tell them that, you know what, you don't need to use ours. You can use the lower tier product. We could have lied and basically get a deal, but many times I personally find that when we are honest with the customer, we may lose the deal, but we win their trust. We win their confidence in us. Yeah. Let me just give you a very recent example. While we were trying to get the audio set up some months ago, I went with 2 devotees and looked around for audio cable. We went to this place called Sui Lee Music Shop. Yeah. You all know Sui Lee Music Shop? It's at Bras Basah. You see, why am I mentioning this shop? It's because when we went there, the one of the staff actually really went out of his way, and when we wanted to get certain items, he looked quizzical, and he asked us what we were trying to do. He didn't just say, "Oh, you want this? Go to cashier." He didn't just do that, He opened up the items and let us test, and in fact, wanted to make sure that it works. He wanted to make sure that we get what we need and not what we think we want. And that really sold me off. Yeah. And in fact, one of the devotees felt so bad for not getting anything. She commented that no, next time if she wants to get anything audio, she must come here. Now, if you think that that's a one-off event, recently I got an LCD screen from Taobao to replace the netbook that was a bit broken, the screen. And it was a very funny experience. You know Taobao, the online thing, and there were tons of all these shops in Shenzhen, in Guangzhou or whatever, all over China. So I found a couple of them. And when I make the order, the seller actually texts me back through the Taobao and asked me, do you have the monitor, the computer open? So I said, yeah. And the person asked me for the model of the screen. And I was like, what model? And he insisted that I open up the screen, physically open up, not open up the lid, but crack open the whole screen to find the serial number. He refused to release the good, you know. You would think that online, you know, like, wow, you just click buy and then they just quickly send it out, you know, like, you paid already, I don't care. Yeah, but that guy actually, initially in my mind I was like, stop wasting my time. Yeah, so he was like, asking me, 赶快, you know, asking me to hurry up, give him the number so that he can meet the shipping deadline. But he was not eager to just sell it. He said, if you don't give me the right one, I'm not going to ship out. On that night, that evening, I was a bit like, what is this, man? Yeah, because finally when I opened everything up and I sent it to him, he said, okay, confirmed, but it's too late. Yeah, the shipping already, we have crossed the deadline. We'll ship it out tomorrow. So initially I was a bit like, what is this? You know? But later I thought about it, then I realized this. Because he mentioned that there's 40-pin connector and 30-pin connector. And he wanted to make sure that I get the right one. Because otherwise, if he can just ship out one of them, but when I receive it, I cannot plug it in, you know. And then I have to spend time, spend postage, send it back. And, you know, you end up wasting more time. Yeah. So he could have lied. In fact, he could have just not cared. Yeah. But when he did that extra mile, it also, I feel the same way, like, yeah, I can trust this guy. You know? So as far as even work is concerned, and perhaps especially when it comes to work, I think trust is very important. Yeah. So to me, maybe our boss may prefer if we lie. Yeah. Or maybe we think our boss would like us to lie. Yeah. But if your boss truly wants that, maybe you have a bigger question. Should you be working there at the first place? Because if your boss can ask you to lie, what else is he lying about? You know, what else is he lying about? Yeah. Okay, cheer up. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, any other questions? What is today's date? You have a question from the center? Center? Thank you. prajna paramita. So, yeah. Let me see. So this question first. 观呼吸是否在眼耳鼻舌身意里如是啊？是否在眼耳鼻舌身意里如是哪是与哪一啊？ What？ 那是与哪一什么？这个是什么？哪一个啊？啊？哪一个啊？观呼吸是否在眼耳鼻舌身意里？观呼吸啊，观呼吸就是观呼吸啊。是在眼耳鼻舌身意，那肯定不是用眼睛啊。Yeah, so when we observe the breath, is it through the for the six senses? Which one is it? Through the eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind? Yeah, the six sense bases. So 如是 huh? Oh, so this is not cancelled, huh? 如果是 so if it is, then which one is it? So when we observe the breath, so some people say just observe the breath. And I had this discussion with another venerable before. Typically when we say observe the breath, it is to feel the movement of the air with respect to the body. But the other person said that no, that is observing the sensation already. You shouldn't be observing sensation. You should be observing the breath directly. At that moment, I was like, huh? So think about it. Can you observe the breath without the body? Besides the fact that without a body, there's no breathing. But can you observe the breath without using any part of the body? You technically can't. You can think about the breath, but that's not observing the breath. You can't see the breath, so we're not using the eye. We're not trying to listen out to the breath, although sometimes when you meditate until your mind is very quiet, you may hear your own breathing. Yeah? But for a start, we are not doing that also. As you breathe in and out, you can maybe smell the incense or smell different smell. Someone farted and you can smell it. Yeah, but that's not breathing meditation also. We're not trying to use our tongue to taste something in the air. Yeah. So actually that leaves the body. Yeah. It is through the body that you can feel the breath. And from there, you are basically being aware of the breath. Yeah. So there could be further questions related to this, but as it is, this is the answer. It is through the body itself. Does that answer your question? Okay. Okay. So in 8 precepts, what's the purpose of the 6th precept? Not taking food after zenith of the sun. So the first question, what is the purpose? So first of all, we actually don't need so much food. Yeah. Secondly, when we consume food, the body actually use up some energy to do digestion as well. Yeah. So notice that usually during conferences, the session immediately after lunch is usually must be super good, or else they put a, like, just randomly put something there. Yeah, something that even if you don't get it, it's okay. Why? Because after lunch, then you tend to be drowsy. Yeah. So they usually have some maybe interactive activity after that, so that you don't fall asleep. Yeah. So if you restrict yourself to just one main meal just before noon, and then maybe in the early morning you have some light porridge, yeah, or some soya milk or something, just to get you started, and enough to last throughout the whole day. Yeah, so that way your body is nourished, but your mind is alert throughout. Yeah, if you have another meal and you have dinner, then from dinner time up to the next 2 hours, you may feel lethargy again. Yeah, most of the time we may not clearly see it, and it's because we are actively, pursuing things outside. We are so busy going after this, going after that, so we are not aware of it. Yeah. So when you spend the time in a retreat, then your mind, you want to give it less agitation. Yeah. And so if you were to then preoccupy yourself with food and this and that, then yeah. No. So the purpose of this precept is multi-pronged. First one is so that you are more conducive physically to meditate and mentally to meditate. Secondly, for cultivators, you don't want to spend your time unnecessarily. Yeah. Thirdly, because back in the days, the monastics depend on donors to provide food. Yeah. So initially, for the first 10 years, this precept was not set down, because those who readily come forward to become monks and then later nuns, they were already focused on the path, on the practice. So they don't spend too much time on food anyway. But later on, at certain stage, others came in, and then they went for alms round in the morning. Some went for alms round in the afternoon. Others went for alms round at night. So some of the devotees went to the Buddha and commented about that. Yeah. So the Buddha then set down the rule. There were also incidences that created some inconveniences, and in one particular case, some problem. Yeah, because one of them, who is an arahant, actually went for alms round late at night. Yeah, and then one pregnant lady came out and saw him, but didn't see him, but only saw his eyes, and was frightened and screamed out like, "Wow, ghosts are!" and then had a miscarriage. Yeah, so the monks were then instructed not to go on alms round at improper times. Yeah, not to consume food or go for alms round at improper times. Yeah, out of consideration for those who are preparing for food. Yeah, who are offering food to them. Yeah. If you go for enough retreats, you'll realize that while you're having retreats, you really don't need so much food. Yeah. For that matter, I have some devotees who actually don't take dinner even at work. Yeah. Unfortunately, for most lay people, dinner is also a time for you all to connect with your family and friends. Yeah. Because most of us who are working, you would spend your lunch at work. So dinner is a time where you can sit down with your family and mingle and share your day. So if you skip dinner, and then your family come back and they have their dinner and you sit down there and hello, then it feels a bit awkward now. Yeah. So this is more about those who are cultivating. As to the zenith, that's the way it is described now. Yeah. So I remember that there's a teaching that talk about how different sentient beings consume food at different hours. Yeah. So it is said that the heavenly beings consume at the break of dawn, then the enlightened ones consume in the middle of the day, and the animals consume in the afternoon, and hungry ghosts at night. Yeah. So those 24-hour coffee shop, Amitopo. Yeah. In breathing meditation, in the observation, does Sifu have any tips to reduce controlling of the breathing process? Okay. Good point. Sometimes as we observe the breath, we may end up regulating and controlling our breath. Yeah. For a start, first of all, in Buddhist meditation, we don't really control the breath. Yeah. But initially, if it helps you to quieten, I would say no harm done. But in the long term, you don't want to be doing that. Yeah, so how? What you can try doing is, instead of observing the breath directly, I want you all to try this now. Yeah, observe. Let's say you can observe either the your hand, yeah, that is in the center, or you can observe your feet that you are sitting on now, yeah, stacked on top of each other. Yeah, can you observe the contact? Like now, as I speak, I can bring my attention to my right toe that is below. Yeah. You can also bring the attention to your bum that is on the cushion. Sometimes certain parts may be more prominent than the other. Yeah. So then bring your attention to that spot and just observe that, keeping your body still, yeah, but not tense up, okay? And as you observe a certain point, let your mind stay with that point. For you, you are not speaking, so your body will just breathe normally. And as you observe that spot, either your hand or your foot or your bum, yeah, or your shin that is on the ground, just observe and note that rhythmic movement in the body. Yeah, as you breathe, there's that very subtle movement. Yeah, the chest, the body, that very rhythm. Yeah, that's very subtle cycle. Then from there you can observe that as we sit, the body is breathing by itself, and the chest expands and contracts. But we don't have to give it a name, because sometimes we start to think when we give it a name. So just observe that ebbing, yeah, the ebbing movement, yeah, in a certain rhythm. And it's not done by us, okay? Yeah. So by noting that physical contact between our body, whether it's at the hand or on our feet, then indirectly observing the rhythm in the body. Yeah, try this now for a while. Okay, good. How was it? Are you able to observe that ebbing? Yeah. It's a very subtle movement and almost hypnotic actually. Yeah. And sometimes I do that also. Yeah. And I find that sometimes if I were to just observe one part of the body, then indirectly observe the breath, and after that drop that part of the body and just observe that movement. Then the mind anchors onto the breath, like you just feel your whole body breathing. Yeah. Without trying to say, oh, breathing out, bring in out. Wow. Yeah. So, is there anyone who is not able to observe your breath? Do not be shy or embarrassed, because the whole point of the practice is to do that. Yeah. Anybody having difficulty? Yes. Which part do you try to observe? Over here. So, are you able to observe it? You fell asleep. Over here. Wow. Okay. So, how many of you felt drowsy earlier? Sleepy, drowsy. Okay. Don't worry, it's normal. Okay. And the reason is because for the most part, throughout the whole week, we have been overexerting ourselves. Yeah. Some studies have found that city dwellers actually have lesser rest, lesser sleep than those who are agrarian in nature. Yeah, that means those who work the fields actually have more rest. Because once it's dark, they don't do any work. Whereas for us, sundown, switch on the light. Yeah, and then we continue all the way to 11 plus and sometimes 12. Yeah, so our senses are constantly being bombarded by things, whether it's our eye, ears, nose, tongue, or body. Yeah, and then in turn our mind. So when we sit and then we have no sound, we close our eyes, observing the breath, not exactly the most interesting capturing item. Yeah. So tendency is you observe for a while, easy to feel drowsy or sleepy. Yeah. So if you find yourself becoming drowsy, you can try this. Just check your sitting posture, yeah, and take a few deep breaths. Okay, but posture and the deep breath can do can only do so much. Yeah. So what you can do is there are a few approaches, which is basically to make use of the Dharma to excite the mind. Yeah. But within a certain scope. But sometimes when you just adjust yourself, then you're okay. So later on, you all can try. When you're drowsy, then just check yourself, take a few deep breaths, then sit up and try again. If it fails, you can try reflecting on the Dharma. Yeah. So for example, the teaching. In my lineage, we sometimes would reflect on the Diamond Sutra. So, like for example, a verse, 一切有为法，如梦幻泡影，如露亦如电，应作如是观. So, the initial stage, you just recite. Yeah. In the mind, you just recite. For some people, after recitation, you... For some people, the more you recite, the more... 一切有为法，如梦幻. Yeah. So it doesn't work for everybody, I must highlight. So, but the recitation is just a preamble. Then you go on to do reflection. Yeah. Reflection is basically like thinking. But the difference is that with thinking, we can go all over the place. Reflection, you go within a certain scope. You don't go outside the scope. Yeah. So for the purpose of this retreat, if you want to do reflection, you can reflect on, let's say, the impermanence of things. For example. So the scope can be, you can reflect on physicality. Yeah. Then you go through the different parts of the body and you consider, yeah, Is there any part that is permanent? So impermanence or permanence, there's a few stages. One, you consider whether something is permanent. That means from the past until now, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's one solid entity. The other aspect of it, that means it doesn't change, doesn't disappear. The other aspect is that it doesn't alter. Yeah, so it's permanent or not. Then is it changing? Yeah, so you go and reflect in this way. An extension to this would be to ask the question: was it always there? Those who have attended Heart Sutra, you will be familiar with this question. You reflect, ask yourself the question: is the entity always there? Yeah. If it's not always there, that means it was not permanent. Yeah. Because before that it doesn't exist, then after a while it exists. So there's change. Then you ask yourself, will this thing last forever? Will it disappear one day? Or will it change in shapes and size or features? Yeah. If it will, then it will change. Then it's impermanent also. So this is the scope. And you may want to limit the things you reflect on. Yeah. So you can start with physical objects. Yeah. Don't start off immediately reflecting on relationships. Then halfway through you see half the group all crying. It's impermanent. Start off with something like physical things. Yeah, your phone lah, your clothes lah, your car lah, your house things like that. Okay, Ken? Okay. Can we wait, sorry. So anybody else besides her who was not able to focus on your to observe your breath? Anybody who was not able to observe your breath? Everybody can observe your breath? Minasan, wakarimasu ka? All of you look so, huh? 了解不？了解ですか？了解huh? Okay. So at the end of the retreat, I hope nobody come and ask me, "Hey, Shifu, what are we supposed to do? You know what you're supposed to do, right? Yeah, observe your breath, huh? Okay. Can we use heartbeat as object of meditation? I know that in some tradition they go and observe the heart. Yeah. And I have observed the heartbeat before. Yeah, you can feel the pulse. In fact, it's not just the breath, but you can feel the whole body pulsating. Yeah. When your mind is very quiet, the kind of things you observe is just quite amazing. Yeah, you can feel the pulse all over. Yeah, different parts of your body. But usually you don't start off with that as an object. Yeah. It becomes something that you observe, but rather than to start off looking for the heartbeat as an object. Typically. Yeah. I have been cautioned by some teachers, some venerables also, that if you use the heartbeat, sometimes it can by right, the heartbeat is controlled by the stem brain, so it's regulated by the stem brain. So we cannot consciously control the heart pum 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 pum, the 3-cycle thing. Yeah. But the trouble is that our mind is very powerful, you know. So if you were to focus on the heartbeat, who knows, if you accidentally go and regulate the heartbeat, then then next thing I open my eyes, I see one person turn blue. Yeah, so I've been cautioned before that there's a possibility of that happening. So for your own sake, you may want to use the breath. Okay? So This is a very big topic, the perfection of wisdom. Yeah. So today, I'm going to just cover something that I've shared many times before, which is the way to develop wisdom. You would have heard before this 3-stage process. So this is prajna paramita. Yeah. So this is hearing, and this is to contemplate, and this is to cultivate. Yeah. So, simply put, when we hear the word wen, there's a certain context to it, because in the past, for you to come into contact with any teachings, it is always through hearing, because writing was not common in the Buddha's time. So when you hear about something, what do you have? You gain knowledge of it. And of course, in today's context, it is not simply hearing. You can read about it. You can watch YouTube. Yeah, there are many different sources of knowledge. But whether you hear it, you watch a YouTube, or you attend a talk, yeah, or you read a book, you will gain knowledge. With that knowledge, then what must you do? You must contemplate on it. By contemplating on it, then you get understanding. Many times we think that, oh, I attend a talk and I will have understanding. Yeah, the venerable or the teacher explains something, then we hear, then we understand. It depends. Usually, it's just knowledge of the Venerable's understanding. Yeah, when the Venerable explains, he's explaining his understanding to you. So when you hear, it feels like you understand, but actually you are hearing his or her understanding. It's not yours yet. Only when you take it back and you contemplate and you can come out with the same sequence and the same conclusion, then is it your understanding. Yeah. So from knowledge and understanding, these two would describe how to cultivate and what the result is. Then from this, you go and cultivate. You cultivate based on the knowledge and understanding, and then you verify. You verify what you have heard. You verify what you have understood. And only when you have verified and ascertained to that, can we become enlightened. Simple? Quite simple, right? Okay, can go back now. But think about it. For the most part, how many of you are currently attending Dharma class regularly? How many of you are not? Raise up high like that. Don't bend. Up, vertical. Okay. Yeah. So I want you to just think about it. People around you, yeah, who are Buddhists, how many of them have heard the Four Noble Truths? The Four Noble Truths. How many of them think about it, okay? like whether it's your parents or your friends or colleagues, how many of them have actually heard of the Four Noble Truths? Yeah. Do you think it is more than 50% of them or less? Less, isn't it? Yeah. So this is the thing. As much as we can know this process, and for most of you, how many of you have never heard of Four Noble Truths? Oh, no, don't worry, it's okay. Yeah. So, only 3 of them? Raise your hand again. Who have not heard of Four Noble Truths? Up high. Kakak. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 of you. The rest of you heard of Four Noble Truths. So, if now Sifu stand up and go to where you are and ask you, what is the first Noble Truth? You'll be able to confidently look me in the eye and say, this is the first Noble Truth. This is the second Noble Truth. Can? So let me ask again. Who is who is not so sure what is the Four Noble Truth? Okay, slightly more now. Think about it. To call Buddhism a faith, usually we call religion faiths or your belief. But Buddhism is, strictly speaking, not simply about faith. A huge chunk of it is not about faith. So, today you can be a Buddhist. You can be a Buddhist from birth. You can be a Buddhist when you are in your adult life, all the way until you die, and you will insist in your dying breath to your children in future, please make sure you call Venerable Chuan Guan. Come and do some chanting for me. Yeah. A person can do that the whole life, but never heard of the Four Noble Truths, Can you imagine how amazing that is? And yet, this is the core of Buddhism. This is what, if there's one thing I want you all to remember from this session, this is what the Buddha discovered and taught. Repeat after me. The Four Noble Truths is what the Buddha discovered and taught. Wow, this sounds like a cult, huh? But do you see how crazy this is, that a person in Singapore can be a Buddhist the whole life and even insist on having a Buddhist funeral, but have no idea what the Buddha is about. Has no idea that 2,600 over years ago, there was a person in India who decided, we may have heard the story, the Buddha, abandoned the palace and then went forth, practiced for 6 years, this and that, and then boom, become the Buddha. We roughly know the story, but as they say, the devil is in the details, The crucial part, the key part is actually that he observed how we actually exist. That in our existence, suffering occurs in a certain way. We all know that there's suffering, but we tend to think that pain is suffering, pleasure is not suffering. And we ignore what is in between. So he came around, he observed, and he's like, no. Take a closer look again. Yeah, pain is suffering, but how about pleasure? We are relating to pleasure wrongly. We think that pleasure is the end goal. So we run from pain to pleasure. And then we ignore the neither painful nor pleasure feelings. So in the first Noble Truth, he described what suffering is. The various aspects of it. He didn't just talk about the 8 kinds, but he described in detail to different people what exactly we suffer over. And perhaps even more importantly, he described how suffering come about. He shared what he observed, which is the 12 links of dependent coexistence, or dependent origination, if you will. Now, there's a lot of details here, but in short, what is suffering? The first noble truth. Second, what is the cause of suffering? Yeah, and what is the cause of suffering? Yeah, so if you go by the classical teachings, the Pali Canon, then we have craving and clinging. If you more into Mahayana teachings, then the focus is more on the defilements. But the two are not mutually exclusive. It is because of defilements, yeah, that there is craving and clinging. What are the defilements? Basically agitations of the mind, greed, hatred, and delusion. Because this is present, then it fuels our craving and desire for existence, for sensual pleasure, for views, and all kinds of things. Basically entraps us in this world. And what is the real end of suffering? If we think that our boss is causing us suffering, then take leave, lor. Go for a holiday, lor. Yeah? Then no more suffering. Yeah? Then after that, come back to suffering. Go for a retreat, recharge. Then Monday, go back to suffering. Yeah? That's our, or this Monday, no suffering. Yeah. So our usual idea is not that we don't see suffering and cause of suffering, but we see a wrong set. That's why we keep trying to change the outside world, because we think that the outside world is the cause of suffering. But through the Buddha's wisdom, we learn that, hey, that's not what he observed. He observed that it is because there's agitation in our mind that we suffer. Yeah. The outside people and so on, they are supporting conditions, but they are not the primary reason why we suffer. Yeah, and as long as the inside is not settled, then no matter where you go, you'll still suffer. Yeah, you'll still suffer. So, if we can use as, denote as suffering, C as the cause of suffering, then the relationship between S and C is denoted by this. S equals to KC plus B. And you have the y-axis S, and you have the origin. And this is the formula. And K is a constant greater than 0. And B is a constant 0. Why? Many people have asked me, why must there be B since it's 0? This is so that it's a fully formed mathematical equation. Yeah, linear equation. Yeah. So K defines the gradient. And the Buddha is somewhere, is here, not somewhere, is here. Yeah? So where are we? Here? Are we? Are we here? How about here? Here? Maybe here? Okay, we are at different parts of this curve, huh? Some up here, some down here, somewhere in between. What we usually want to do is we want to end suffering, but we want to keep our craving. So we so we want to just draw a straight line down. Yeah, and some people promise us that. Yeah, keep your craving. Yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of your suffering. Yeah, but what the Buddha observed is that, no, this doesn't work. Yeah, this doesn't work. As long as there's craving, there's suffering. So the Buddhist approach is to work along this line. And as you reduce your craving, then your suffering just don't arise. But the Buddha was not born in Greece, so he didn't write down the formula in this way. Yeah. If he was born in ancient Greece, this is probably what he would have carved out. And what is this intersection? This intersection N is nirvana, where C equals to 0. Yeah. So this is the first noble truth. This is the second noble truth. And the third noble truth is the state where C equals to 0 and S equals to 0. And the arrow P is the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the fourth noble truth. Yes? Huh? Okay, so there's an arrow here. The arrow P is the Noble Eightfold Path. Ba Zhen Dao, Noble Eightfold Path. And this is the fourth noble truth. Can see? A bit blur, huh? Is this better? Can see the wall? Huh? 看得到吗？蒙蒙啊。Then upgrade yourself lah. Free sitting. You can come forward. Can or not? Can see or not? Hey, this is what gets you enlightened. 看不到就要过来。Yeah, just come forward. Huh? Oh, come forward. Yeah, just walk forward. There's a lot of space here. Yeah, how about the rest at the back? Can you all see it? Yeah, this projector is a bit like shimmering already. Can you all see from behind now? It's better, huh? Because maybe just now it was glaring, huh? So, the first noble truth of suffering, second noble truth of the cause of suffering, the third noble truth of the end of suffering, what we call nirvana, is where cause, which is the craving and clinging, yeah, has come to an end, equals to 0, then suffering also becomes 0. Yeah, that is the real end of suffering. And the arrow here denotes the Noble Eightfold Path, which is for us to work towards the end of suffering by removing C, yeah, or reducing C to 0. Yeah. Of course, there's a whole set of teachings that came out from there. Yeah, the Noble Eightfold Path. You have 正见、正思维、正业、正命、天正、正精进。So you have right view, right intention, then or right thought, then right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Yeah. Today is just an overview, lah. Because from this, then you can expand further. No, not no end, lah, but the Buddha gave teachings for 45 years, so can be quite a while. So later on, we'll take a picture of this and then we'll post it onto the Urban Retreat chat group. Okay? And I want to give you all an exercise. Not to go out and to preach, but to just share with your Buddhist friends or family, those who call themselves Buddhists, send this to them and ask them whether they know about this. Yeah. Some people think that, oh, we should go and reach out to nominal Buddhists or non-Buddhists. I'm like, no, let's make sure that Buddhists know about it first. If Buddhists we ourselves don't even know what the Buddha taught, then who are we to go and tell people about the Buddha's teaching, you know? Oh. Yeah. So think about it, that the Buddha discovered how to put an end to suffering, and that's the only reason why not that we worship him, you know, that's the only reason why we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. But the fact is that most people don't even know about this. So they are taking refuge, or they just believe in Buddha just like another god, you know. Yeah, so it's quite strange. And perhaps that's why sometimes Christians would come and tell me that, but do you know that Buddha is not God? Or maybe not tell me, but tell some of my students, and my students come and ask me, hey Shifu, my friend asked me like, Buddha is not God, then why you still worship him? So I'm like, well, to begin with, we don't really worship the Buddha. Yeah, we respect him because gosh, when is the last time you heard someone put an end to suffering? And that was 2,600 over years ago, and people were throwing stones at each other, you know. Yeah. When is the last time you heard someone talk about how the mind works, especially given the context that way back, most people, you know, yeah. So, this part is what the Buddha discovered, and it pointed to a way out of our predicament, yeah, to our cyclical existence. And most importantly, it's not so much about existence, it's about suffering, our cyclical suffering that can come to an end. So as we hear a lot about all this, then we go and think about it, go and contemplate, and we may have a better understanding. Yeah. Then can we go and cultivate accordingly, and then verify it. Yeah. The cultivation part involves this section here and this section here. Yeah. This part is mostly the learning, hearing, and contemplation. Yeah. Okay, any questions? No questions? First time? Yes. Oh. Okay. So right view. And then right intent, right speech, right action, right livelihood, and then right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So the first two, kind of, we borrow the Buddha's view. Yeah, for the Buddha, he observed this, and then we just borrow what he observed, and try it out. And then use it as our view. And that shapes the intent that forms the basis for us to purify our body and speech. Yeah. So right speech, right action, and then livelihood, the way we behave or act to sustain our life. And this part is purification of the mind. Yeah. Effort is actually more focused on the mind, yeah, as far as wholesome or unwholesome thoughts are concerned. And mindfulness today is kind of overplayed. Yeah. It is positioned as the end-all, be-all. You just have mindfulness, you can throw away everything. But in the Buddhist teaching, that's not the case actually. Yeah. It forms the basis for us to recollect our mind so that we can develop concentration. And when the mind is suitably quietened and focused, then we can see things as they are and verify what we have heard and understood. And then the view becomes ours. Or rather, it's no longer a view that we borrow, that we see as it is. Yeah. Then when you see it as it is, then you can come and tell Sifu the good news. Sifu, the holy life has been lived. There's no further becoming. What has to be done has been done. Yeah. Then it will be entered into the annals of the Arahants. So and so became one of the Arahants. Of course, this is just an overview. I mean, I'm just listing out. Come and join us on, on Sunday. Yeah. But if you have any questions, you can ask now. No? Yeah. We do sometimes cover this, yeah, in the SGC. But you don't necessarily have to attend SGC to learn this. Yeah. You can find a lot of information online as well. So good and bad, because when you read something online, whatever it has there is it. That is it. Yeah. Sometimes when people read online or in a book, we tend to assume that this is it. But sometimes there's a certain scope or message that that article or that book is trying to convey. So it doesn't give you the opportunity to explore more, yeah, the full extent. Yeah. So if you want to find out more about this, you can actually refer directly to the Pali Canon. Yeah. Under there are various sutras that covers this. Yeah. In the Satipatana Sutta, it covers this also. In the Magga Vibhanga Sutta, yeah, where there's full analysis of the path, it will also cover this. Yeah. So that's other approaches. I mean, not to... I mean, it's a joke that you can come. No, it's not a joke that you can come. You can come for SGC. Yeah, but I prefer to say, if you want to come, you can come. But not that this is the only place you can learn about the Four Noble Truth and Eightfold Path. Any other questions about this? So if you were to do this, and through this gradual process, then wisdom arises. The so-called wisdom arise is the removal of ignorance. Yeah. And in Buddhism, that's a central theme. Because only when you do that, then there's the complete destruction of the taints of defilements. And only then can there be enlightenment. You cannot simply believe your way to enlightenment. Yeah. But the fact that, in a way, I'm preaching to the choir. The fact that you are attending a meditation retreat, it means you are pointing in that direction already. So perhaps the thing to do is for us to share that with family and friends. So we'll see. Okay, if there's no further question, let's wrap up the SGC part and then continue with our meditation. Put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了， 普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛，起立。